guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We are here at the home base, and you know what? It's kind of crazy to be home because for the past month, we have been on the road week in and week out to bring you all of the latest and greatest media drives and, of course, auto show content. Well, what are we here for tonight? We are here because it is the unveiling of the all-new 2024 Acura Integra Type S. Lots of excitement around this vehicle, some differences from the Type R. Let's go ahead, let's dive in and see, is this Type S what you've been waiting for from Acura? All right, guys, diving in. There she is in beautiful Apex blue. That's your Type S Integra from Acura. Right away, one thing that should be very apparent to you are those blistered, flared fenders. You're looking at almost 3 inches added in width to your standard Acura Integra. You'll notice clearly the precision crafted performance orientation of that front fascia. You're gonna have a larger grille, which is gonna flow more air than your standard Acura Integra. Love the placement, of course, of the Type S badge. It almost seems like the Acura badge itself is just floating in midair. Looking at those flared fenders, just like when we brought you the camo version of this vehicle from the Rolex 24 at Daytona, it just sits right. Now, I am gonna zonk it. I wish that there was a little bit less gap between the top of the tire and the inside of the fender, but really sitting there in the sun, seeing that flared fender kind of distracts my eyes in a very, very good way. But I think an inch drop is gonna be perfect on this vehicle. Now you'll notice with it being a liftback, the Type S badge, where it is placed on the rear of the vehicle, you do have the addition of that trunk liftback spoiler, and then underneath the hood they did a fantastic job with the engine cover and making it look different from the Type R, because I think that's the biggest thing that many of you, including myself, we just thought that it was going to be a carbon copy Type R with an Acura badge on it and a Type S badge, and clearly there's more than what meets the eye. So this is the ultimate Autobot here, and you'll notice for the first time the triple exhaust, large outlet. So on the Type R, you got 2 small, 1 big, 2 big, 1 small. On the Type S, they're all large. And with an active exhaust valve, you do get the pops and bangs, something that I am definitely a little disappointed in, because on my FL5 Type R, that's one of the things I hate, is how quiet the exhaust is. And it makes me scratch my head on why did they do that? Because this is technically supposed to be the more grown-up version compared to the Type R, being the Acura Integra Type S. Why does this one have the pops and the bangs and the Type R doesn't? But noticing on this twisty bit section of road, it just looks right. Up front, those lower corners, the air intakes are massive, massive at each corner of the front fascia, and they are fully functional. You got your chicane daytime running lamp looking stupendous, the multi-jewel LED beam headlight design, and like I said, it's all about crafted performance. You have, of course, precision crafted performance. You have that aluminum hood, which is lighter, and with the way that they designed the heat extractor, it flows 170% more air effectively than your standard Integra, of course. And you'll notice it looks quite different from the Type R. Basically the same size heat extractor, but I love the nice rise and the peak that's in the center of the hood, and then it kind of dips down into the heat extractor and then rises back up very, very aggressively. And I think that's the thing I'm really just in awe, is when you look at the Type S family, and you can see the TLX Type S and the MDX Type S, this Integra Type S is the most aggressive, I think, compared to the other two. but having that 2.9 inches of extra width is definitely going to do it. Now up front, you do have a limited slip diff. You got that massive intercooler with the larger opening in that lower bumper area, and there is a lot of gloss black. So just like on the Type R, there's going to be more gloss black, but definitely the way they integrated the fender flare, much, much different than the Type R. Now, what else do we got going on? You do have more horsepower than the Type R. So that 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged engine underneath the hood is now putting out 320 horsepower. So is it a lot more horsepower over a Type R? No. It's 5 extra horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. That's the same amount of torque as the Type R. So in reality, it's all going to come down to how they tune the ECU on how we feel the performance of this vehicle. Are you going to feel an extra 5 horsepower? No. At 315 horsepower, you're not going to feel an extra 5. But depending on how they tune it and also the gearing, that's going to be a big difference. Now, you'll see on the interior a more luxurious, sportsy type of setup here. You have that 10.25-inch digital gauge cluster. You do have, of course, 3 different color options on the interior. You're looking at the orchid white with the black, so it's a leather and microfiber suede material. Nice thick rim on the steering wheel. And then, of course, that 6-speed manual transmission. It is the only transmission available. So either A, you know how to drive a manual, or either B, you have somebody teach you before you get the keys to this thing. I do like with the infotainment system, when you go into the different modes, it's different than the Type R. You're seeing the actual car, you're seeing the different modes, especially Sport Plus. Sport Plus will be that mode that's equivalent to the R Plus mode. And then of course you have individual, which I think is very, very smart because you could fine tune the steering, the suspension, the throttle sensitivity, and also of course the engine performance. And it's all touchscreen capable with that 9-inch infotainment system. So I know some people are still not over it just being a 9-inch and it's that iPad style. When you're behind the wheel, I promise you, you will not notice it. It does not get in the way. One of the things this is what I'm confused about. So you're getting the 10.25-inch digital display and you're seeing here the different gauges, the boost gauge, your G meter, all that stuff that could be brought up within the speedometer. And then of course, when you go into your different modes, that's going to change the appearance of the instrumentation. Another thing that has me, and as you can see, we're about to go into comfort mode. One of the things that has me scratching my head once again is why on the Integra Type S does the exhaust have pops and bangs? But what you'll notice is even in Sport Plus mode, you don't have a racy style digital gauge cluster like you have in the Type R. And what I mean by that is you might say to me, well, Joe, that makes sense. This is supposed to be a little bit more luxurious, sportsy kind of setup. Then why does it have pops and bangs out of the exhaust? That kind of confuses me. So, and it confuses me in a way where obviously I'm a little frustrated because the Type R doesn't do that. But I am very, very happy that they brought it to the Type S. Now you'll notice, like I said, those aggressive, ginormous, it's like a massive In-N-Out burger can fly into those corner air intakes, not only for aerodynamics and brake cooling, but also obviously for bringing cooling for the engine compartment. You have beautiful 19-inch wheels. And what's great is they don't look like the Type R wheels. They kind of made them styled to be a little bit more NSX. And I could see it in the design there. It's that gunmetal metallic shark gray finish. So it's definitely going to stand out different from the Type R. And then you're also getting red monoblock, Brembo calipers up front, but it's a different color red. And instead of saying Brembo on them, they just say Acura. So that's another thing. But the wheels are 19-inch, all 4 corners. And when you're looking at the tire size, 265 on the width. That's a meaty tire for a front-wheel drive car. And yes, this vehicle is front-wheel drive. So if you had aspirations of it being an all-wheel drive car compared to the Type R, that's not happening. It's a front-wheel drive car. You still get the same light flywheel, 19-inch wheels, 265 on the width, that limited slip diff, the high flow exhaust with the active valve, which is going to make it really sing compared to the Type R. The rotors are 13.8 inches in diameter up front, two-piece to cut down on weight and also dissipating the heat. You'll notice at the back of the car, it is, like on the Type R, very gloss black heavy. You do have the diffusers built into the lower portion, but man, the presence on the road, I mean, look at this thing. It's gonna be great to see Type S's and Type R's going down the road, going around the racetrack. Remember, this is a 5-door liftback. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's a liftback? It's another word for hatchback. But that should be no surprise. And it is 4 doors. So if you were thinking that John Acura was somehow able to make his wish come true with having a 2-door Integra, which that's what he really wanted, unfortunately, the accountants at the end of the day win. And this is a 4-door car, but it's intended to be a 4-door car to hopefully sell well. Now, what else we got going on there? Like I said, you got the deck lid spoiler out back, gloss black. We have the ADS, Adaptive Damper System. So that means when you go into different modes, just like the Type R, that's going to adjust your compression and rebound for each of the shock absorbers, all 4 corners. And it's going to be interesting to see how rigid this chassis is compared to the Type R. Because remember, in Plus R mode on the Type R, it's extremely rigid. And when you're on the track, it needs to be tabletop smooth. Noticing the road that this thing is going down, it looks nice and stable. We'll have to see when we get behind the wheel. Now, when can you get behind the wheel? Obviously, you need to get your orders in for this bad boy. Second of all, it's going to be hitting the dealerships later this summer, probably like late June. We're going to be doing the media drive in a few upcoming months. So we'll be bringing you the full on throttle of this vehicle experience with the Integra Type S. But I'm dying to find out how you feel about this car. Is this the one that Acura has finally delivered for you to where you say, I am totally happy and I can't wait to not only roll through the 6-speed manual, but also experience the on-throttle behind the wheel of the new Acura Integra Type S. Obviously, Tiger's Eye, that gold color is going to be the Type S specific color. You can't get that color on a Integra Standard or an A-Spec, but you can get it on this Integra Type S. And then, like I also mentioned, 3 different interior color options. I would go Apex Blue and then the red and black interior. The chef's kiss of all interiors. And then, of course, another big differentiator between this and the Type R is going to be the 16 speaker ELS Studio 3D sound system. That's over 500 watts of power and definitely going to be over and better than the Bose that's in the Type R. Price, no official pricing yet, but let's use a little common sense here. So MSRP, basically for a Type R, MSRP, not talking about markups, around $44,000. I'm gonna say this is gonna be right around 47. That's just me. I think they would be crazy, absolutely nuts to mark this above 50. But 47, 48, that seems to make sense to me. Let me know how you feel about my guesstimation on the price. Also, let me know in that comment section, what do you think markup is going to be on this thing? But I'm telling you, the interior really is going to separate it from the Type R. Even though the Type R interior is definitely nice, this is even nicer from a luxury standpoint. And then, of course, the seats. How are those going to feel? They're definitely not as bolstered as the seats in the Type R, but we'll see. Don't you worry. We're going to get behind the wheel. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raity's Rides family. Of course, we need to thank LG Raiti, Lori, setting up this whole room, this whole experience with Oscar to make this a special night. We'll let you know who Oscar is in a short, hot minute. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.